volatile session for US equity indices overnight with heavy early selling led by those tech stocks before a partial rebound into the close. To get across that and the RBA's rate hike, what happens next? Tony Sycamore from IG joins me. Tony, great to see you.
Thanks, Jules.
Let's get into the Aussie dollar to start with, given what we saw yesterday and how hawkish you thought the governor was.
Well, the statement was very hawkish. Many components there, the revisions to inflation, etc. But the statement, the post-meeting conference, a little less hawkish, more balanced there. And I think when you look at the net impact on markets yesterday, it was the Aussie dollar which really felt the brunt. And it's for good reason. You have this underlying divergence between interest rates. Now Australia lifting interest rates, rest of the world either on hold or lowering interest rates. It's a great backdrop for the Aussie dollar combined with what's going on in precious metals, which have stabilised overnight. So for me, the way the Aussie has traded, it has, I think, started to form a bit of a toehold above 68 cents. We saw it in a range for most of 2025, spending a lot of time between, say, 63 and 66.50. I think we're now going to find ourselves into a higher range, probably somewhere around 68.50 up to 71.50 in the near term. And then what happens after that, we'll wait and see. But for me, the uptrend is solid. Any pullbacks here need to be bought for the Aussie dollar. That backdrop isn't going to change in a hurry, and good signs ahead for the Aussie dollar.
All right, good signs ahead, good for those travelling. What about, though, what we're seeing with this AI head scratch and the implications here for the Nasdaq?
Well, the volatility which we saw in January is now leaking into February, and it really probably has shaken many markets apart from US stock indices. And overnight, we saw a wobble. This time last week when we were chatting, Jules, it had rallied for 6 straight days. It peaked up around that 26, 170, 180 area. That has now shaped a possible double top in the Nasdaq. That's the setup. It's not the trigger. The trigger for a double top would need to be a break below that trend line, which it tested and held last night, coming from the November lows. And then below that low we saw there in, I think it was the 20th of January. And if that was to go on a sustained basis, I think you're probably looking for a deeper shakeout in the Nasdaq. Now, of course, we've got some big earnings coming out this week. The labour market data, which we're hoping to see, ADP, and the non-farm payrolls is now being pushed back due to the government shutdown. So we're going to be squarely focusing on tech earnings, and that will determine whether the Nasdaq has formed a double top or whether it can push on high up towards 27,000.
Well, it's weighing through to our market. I mentioned earlier, we don't have the same tech exposure, but if you look at our IT sector, it's down 7% this morning. So even that rally in BHP, not enough to offset the decline in the overall market. What are the technicals showing us?
That comes after 7 straight months as well. The IT ASX sector there has just been absolute bloodshed. And for the ASX 200, we've just had a really strong pocket of the market. Fortunately, it's a very influential pocket. It is the materials sector. It is those big miners. And we can see there that so far, the ASX 200 has been able to weather that tech storm. It's also been able to weather the storm from the RBA now raising interest rates. And providing it holds above those lows you can see, which we touched earlier in the week, then I think you've got to allow the ASX 200 to continue on higher. So again, it is just driven by the BHPs, the Rios, the copper miners, the gold miners. There has been a pullback, but so far we're holding. So fingers crossed on that front.
And speaking of gold, I mean, we haven't spoken since the big parabolic correction. I read your note over the weekend, but it does seem that there's been a little bit of a comeback. I get 6% higher overnight.
Right. So the question now is what happens. And when we see an earthquake in markets, it's very, and a rebound like we saw overnight, it's tempting to say that's the bottom, we've seen the low. And we may well have, but generally what happens is after an earthquake, we get aftershocks. You've got to clean up the mess, the debris, etc. So, it wouldn't surprise me if gold pushed back above 5,000, 5,200, that type of area. But I still feel like there's more to come. We haven't seen the last of that story. It could last. Say, for example, Bitcoin had a volatility episode in October. 4 months later, it's just made a fresh low. So for me, this is something which is going to play out in the months ahead. But longer term, I think those fundamentals which drove gold to that high probably will reassert themselves. It's just you've got to let these aftershocks play out.
Well, you mentioned Bitcoin there, so it hasn't sort of moved in the same way, I guess, as gold.
Well, I guess the crash in gold I saw at the start of this week just reminded me of the GFC. It was just gapping through levels, just stop loss leverage. It was a really sort of coordinated move lower, whereas the move from Bitcoin initially was quite violent, but then it's been more of a grind low over the past 4 months. And with US equities selling off overnight, we traded below that Liberation Day low, which to me is a really, really important level. It has to hold above this 73,000 to 75,000 area to really have a chance to get back up towards that 200-day moving average, coming in around 100,000. So right here, right now, I wouldn't be chasing it low. In fact, I am looking for a bottom. Where this daily candle finishes, I suspect it probably hasn't finished quite high enough to give us that loss of momentum reversal candle. But to me, Bitcoin it's in a spot here where I think it should be looking for a bottom, and you've got a really clean cut. If it really starts to motor down below 73,000 to 75,000, then look, it's going down towards probably 55,000. But if it can form a base here, like you can see on that chart there, then potentially there's an upside for a bounce back up towards 90 or 100K.